Okay, we're going to get started now. My name is Valerie Smith. I'll be teaching you today. And in this class, we're going to be talking about managing large documents in Microsoft Word. So before we go over to Word, I just want to explain that I'm going to keep you muted for most of the class. I will pause periodically to see if you have any questions. If you do, you can click on the little button that says raise your hand. You should find it at the bottom of your screen. And once you do that, I will unmute you so you can ask your question. I will try to answer it. Okay, so let's get started then. So what we're going to be talking about today is probably some parts of Word you haven't seen, even if you've been using it regularly. Managing large documents, and it has a couple of different features that you probably wouldn't encounter if you're not using it for, if you're just using it for things like resumes or letters or that kind of thing. So let me get my screen up here. Okay, so let's start by looking at, this is the document we're going to be working with today. And what I needed for this class really was a really long document with a lot of different sections to it. I didn't want to use gibberish text for this, so I picked up this thing from the Dragon Age video game, which is a bunch of backstory information from it. And I'm going to be using that for this class. Now, this document is 167 pages long. So this is the size of the document we're going to be talking about. It's got several different sections like creatures, characters, books and songs, items, notes, that kind of thing. And they have like little subdivisions under each one. And we're going to be using this to explain how you can use, we're going to be working on breaking this up into several different documents. And then we're also going to be talking about how you can put those documents together using a master document that will make it much more manageable. So you don't have to go scrolling through 180 pages to find something on this document and make changes to it. We'll also be creating a table of contents. We're going to be doing some more, some different headers and footers. And we'll be working with, and I will briefly show you how you can create an index for a document. Okay, but we're going to, like I said, we're going to be going to some places in Word you probably never saw before. And the first place we're going to be going to is something called Outline View. So I'm going to start a new document. Close this one, we don't need it. And then I'm going to switch us over into what's called Outline View. Do that by clicking on the View tab and going here to Outline. And what this lets you do is essentially create an outline for your document and type in different pieces of information. And you could also put it in text. You can put in a lot of different things in the outline. This is a place where if you're doing something really big, you can start thinking about your ideas and figuring out how you're going to organize this document. So I'm going to say this document is going to be called Creatures. And then underneath that, I'm going to start listing some things. So abominations, archdemon, demon, desire demon, dragons. And as you can see here, we're going in an outline. It's in a hierarchical format. We have creatures that's on level 1. You can see up here, you tell you what level you're on. And as you enter in information, so if you want to move something so it's underneath the one it's currently in, you can do that using the tab key. So now that Dragonlings is under dragons. You can do that for the next one. And then I can go back by using the Shift tab to bring it back to the previous level and put in giant spiders. Okay, so I'm creating this document, and what it is I'm writing down, this is creating an outline. So we're going to take a look, we're going to go out of outline view and take a look and see how this looks in a regular document. So here we have it's outlining those under. So this is determining what level each one is at. So you can see here the fonting here is smaller. Okay, I'm going to go back to outline view. So let's say as you're working on your outline, you think of something you want to say in your document. Let's say about the archdemon. So what you can do here is then instead of having one of the levels, you can change it to body text. And then you can type in whatever it is you want to say. And when you close the outline view this time, you'll see that information is listed underneath there. Okay. So this is just a general idea of what you can do with outline view. We're going to open up another document, and we're going to take a look at that. And we're going to show you how this outline can let you rearrange your document very easily without doing a lot of cutting and pasting and that kind of thing. So I'm going to close this. And I'm going to open. So I already took that large document we had, that whole codex, and broke it into smaller pieces for each part. And so one of the parts is the creatures. So I'm going to be using this one. And this document is only, I think, about 17 pages. So it's a lot more manageable piece of information. We're not going to go in outline view and see how this document is organized. Okay, so what you see here is you have your header, you have your heading right here, and then underneath it you have all the text. So looking at it this way, going into outline view hasn't really helped us. But what we can do is set it so that instead of seeing all levels, you can only see, like, say, the first 3. And now we don't have all that text in our way, so we can move things around without seeing all our text. Before I start showing you how that movement goes, does anyone have any questions? Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to move all my demons under one category, because we have desire demons, we have pride, rage, and sloth demons. So I'm going to move them all under, and I want there to be a category called demon. I'm going to go down here and type in demon. Don't want to do that. And then I'm going to move desire demon to a lower level. So I'm just going to tab that out. And now desire demon is under demon. I'm also going to take pride demon up here, and I'm just going to drag it and that. Same thing with rage and sloth. So I'm just dragging the entries in, and then I'm using the tab key to demote them to level 2. And now when I close the outline view, I scroll down, my demons are now all grouped underneath the main heading, and all the text that was associated with that heading moved with it. So this way, instead of having to do a bunch of cutting and pasting and trying to move stuff around that way, I could just drag it up and down on outline view and set it and move it that way. So are there any questions about that? So again, you can see how if you have a really big, long document, being able to move items around like that and reorganize it could be very, very helpful. Okay, then. Okay. So done reorganizing this document how I want it to be. So I'm going to close this one. I'm going to open a different one. Okay. So you may have noticed some point that if using Word, that there's a very large section of the Home tab that you might not use very often. That's this here, the Style section. Has anyone here used any of the Style section? You can just raise your hand if you did. No, it doesn't look like it. That's not terribly surprising. So what's going on with the Style section is that there's a bunch of different ways. It's basically a way you can, it's a way you can quickly apply a certain kind of formatting to text you're in. So you see here we have galley. So you have things like intense, emphasis, strong, quote. So if you have a block quote that you want to do in italics, you can just click, you can just highlight it, and then just go up here to the quote, and it does the whole thing in one. And it does and there's subtitles, different kinds of emphasis. So instead of making all these different font changes, you can do like one big font change like this in just one click. So that's one of the things that styles can do. And you can change these styles, you can create your own styles, you can do all sorts of things like that. What is important for us and what we're going to be doing are these styles up here, heading 1, heading 2, and to a certain extent heading 3, though we're probably not going to use that one. Mostly we'll be using heading 1 and heading 2. And what's important about these styles is that by marking a style as heading 1 or heading 2, you're telling Word you want that included in certain kinds of auto-generated content, like, as we'll be doing later in the class, a table of contents. So what happens is if you flag certain blocks of text as heading 1 or heading 2, when Word goes to generate a table of contents, it's going to use those words that were formatted with that style in the table of contents. And generally speaking, this is something you are going to want to keep in your head when you're creating your document, and you want to be setting that font for what you want the headings to be as you're typing it, as you're creating it, as you're even doing it in the outline. That's one of the things with the outline view is that those outline titles will have the styles for heading 1 and heading 2 applied to them. So it's doing some of that work for you if you work in outline view to set up your document. But let's say you created a document and you had no idea that you're going to be using it. You're going to be generating a table of contents to go with that document. So you didn't flag things with different headers when you were doing it. If you were consistent in your formatting, like for every one of those headers you would be using that you'd want to include in your table of contents, you were using the same font and font characteristics, there's still a way, without having to go through the entire document manually, for you to find and apply heading 1 to all those pieces of text. So has anyone used the find and replace or the search and replace function in Word? Someone's used that? So this is typically what people think of using this for is replacing a word or a phrase. So if you say, discovered you'd spelled a name wrong throughout an entire document, you could then say, you could have it replace every instance of that name. Or if you were writing a novel and you decided to change the name of one of the characters, you could use it that way. You could replace all the references from one character's name to whatever the new name you want for them. So there's a couple of different ways you would use that find and replace, but most people think of it as if you were using it for text. You can use replace for other things, and I think this gets really interesting. So right here we have the name here, Alistair. That would be what we want in the table of contents. And it's and if you look up here at the font, it's Times New Roman, it's 16 point, it's bold, and that's sort of unique. Same here with the Queen of Nora. So that seems to be, we did this thing where the names were in, well, actually just 16 point bold pretty much throughout the document. So what we can do then is we can search not for a specific kind of text, but a specific kind of formatting. So if I'm going to go over here to the replace, and I'm going to go here to more, and in the find what box, so this is what it's going to be looking for. Instead of going to typing in text, I'm going to go here to format, and I'm going to go to font. And I'm going to say I want bold, 16 point text. I want you to find all the bold 16 point text in this. And I want you to replace that with format. And I'm going to say replace that with a particular style. And our style is going to be heading 1. And let's go. Okay. So we're looking for anything in font 16 point bold, and we're replacing it with heading 1. Let's see how this goes. All right, so it flagged the name, Alistair, right out. So we're going to say replace that. Then Queen of Nora. Then Bellin, the King. So etc. It'll go through. So I'm just going to say replace all. Okay, so it replaced 28 different names were replaced. And now that stuff is flagged as heading 1. So when we create our table of contents, it'll include all these headings in it. So this is, this is if you weren't planning your document, you had to do something after the fact. And it does rely on the fact that you were being very consistent as you were setting up the font as you worked through the document. In something really, if you did something like this, you really should go through the document and make sure every single piece was flagged, because it could miss something or you could have formatted something wrong. So this is something you would have to double check, but it could save you some time if you had a document where you hadn't anticipated having to do a table of contents or something like that, and you wanted to add it in later. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. Okay, so let's say we wanted to modify, and we need this heading 1, but we don't quite like entirely how it looks. So if you wanted to modify it, you can right click here, go to modify. Let's say I want it to be a different color. I could go there. I could pick a different shade of color. You can do all the font changes here. And then you can make a choice that this formatting is only created to this document or new documents based on this template. And whenever you start a document in Word, you're usually starting it based on what's called the normal template. And if you make a change here, new documents based on this template will have the new version of the style, but anything you created before will not. It's not going to change it in other documents that were already created. It'll only do new ones based on this template. Okay. So Ms. Maria, what's your question?
Yeah, with that modification that you did for heading 1, isn't that equivalent to customizing it?
Essentially, that's the same thing, yeah.
So, like you said, I'm sorry, can you please go back to the
Sure.
options?
Sure.
The modify options. It's like you said, it can be modified starting only on this document.
Yeah, down here. You see it says only in this document?
Or new documents
or
based
new
on
documents based on this template. So it would do it in this document and anything new.
If I chose heading 1,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
we're only changing this one style.
Okay. I'm just confused, like why would Word allow us to change this heading 1 and not just move us over to a customization of the heading 1? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm not, I'm not quite following.
Like since you said earlier that essentially it's like customizing heading 1, why if this is a normal template or normal style for heading 1 in a Word document, why not just keep it at that? Like meaning stay put as heading 1 and then tell the user to just customize his or her own heading style.
Well, that's essentially what you're doing. Because any changes I make to the styles, even if I say, do this to new documents, it's only on this computer.
So what's the difference now with that automatically update box, the checkbox there?
I'm actually not entirely certain. I think it just does. Add to styles together. I want to make the update. Not quite sure. Priority 10. I'm not quite sure what the automatically update does. I really am not.
Yeah.
Perhaps, what it could do is one of the things you can do. Actually, we can test this if it does what I think it's doing. Let's say I just make this really tiny. Yeah, that's what it does. What? So Yeah, so what automatically update does means that if you make changes in your document to this, it makes changes to the style. So
Meaning every other heading has been changed?
No, just the heading 1.
No, I mean all those 28 occurrences where you replaced the font size was updated.
Yeah, if you have automatically update selected, it'll change them all.
Oh, okay.
And it'll change them within the style as you're making changes to an individual one in the document.
I see. Okay.
Because there is a linkage between the font and settings in the headings and the term heading 1, but heading 1 means something else in addition to all these font and other settings. It means that this is a heading that is going to be used at certain points in a document automation, like when we do the table of contents. But also, let's take a look at outline view for this particular document. Let's go to view. Outline. So you see here, those things we flagged as heading 1 are level 1 in the outline.
Right.
So that is also, so heading 1 is that all those font changes, but it's also saying if you're looking at an outline, this is at level 1 in the outline. So so it's a couple of different things that heading 1 is doing.
Okay.
Okay, the font is probably the least important part of it in this particular case. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. Okay. So we're finished fixing the heading problem in this document. So we're going to save this. And I'm going to close it. And now we're going to move on to the master document. And what the master document is going to do is it's going to pull all these documents together in one thing. We're going to put on a cover page, a table of contents, some headers and footers, and we're going to add an index. But each of these documents will also be its own thing, so that if you have to make changes to them, you don't have to go through the whole master in 100 and something pages. You can just deal with the smaller 20-page groups. Okay, so I'm going to start a new document. And first thing we're going to do is I'm going to put in a cover page. And these are just kind of fancy cover pages. Let's see, which one do I want to do? So we've got like different colors and different graphics. I'm going to go with this one. And I'm just going to add the title. And I'm going to get rid of the subtitle. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to leave this part here blank, what it is. But you get the idea for the cover page. Now we're down onto the second page of our document. And this is where we're going to start putting together our document. So I'm going to go switch over to outline view. Actually, I'm actually going to leave an extra page here just in case, because that might come in handy. But I'm just going to leave that now for now. And then we're going to go into outline view, and we're going to start putting our documents in. So over here, you have a section that says master document. And this is where you go when you start creating your master document. So I'm going to click here to show documents. And this is where you're going to start inserting those different documents that you want to be part of this master. So I'm going to start here. And I'm going to pick my documents. So I'm going to start with creatures. And I'm just going to say yes here. Too many spelling errors. Well, you know. Hold on, something's wrong here. Let's try that again. I think I picked the wrong document. Okay, let's go here. Okay, I cannot find the version I was using, but I'm going to do something else instead. All right, just going to start here with characters. And I'm going to change my shape, my levels. So I'm only going to see up to 3 levels, so I don't have to look at the whole document. What's going on here? Okay, so I'm putting together 4 different files. Actually want to making sure I'm getting them all notes. And I think of one more file, culture and history. Okay, so we put all these documents together. I'm now going to close the outline view. Now we have our cover page, we have one blank page here, and then we go into the body of our document. And if you look down here, you can see we now have 136 pages in our document. So that's about what we were looking for. So we have all these different documents linked together in one file, but they're still their own separate documents that they can be edited on their own. So we're going to now generate a table of contents for this document. And we want our table of contents to go here. And we're going to go over here to the References tab. And we're going to say here we want a table of contents. And you're going to pick the format you like. I'm going to go with this one. Okay. So now we have a table of contents. And if you hold the control key down and click on any item in the table of contents, it'll take you right to it. So you can get really far between two different places underneath the table of contents. Okay, so any questions on the table of contents? And if you move things around in your document, the table of contents will change as well. So if you're using the automatically generated table of contents, you don't have to worry about moving something out of place because it'll automatically change depending on where you move the new one. Okay. So let's start working on doing some work with the headers and footers. I'm going to start on this page. And let's see, go to the insert, header. I'm going to pick this one. And I want you to notice here it says header section 1. If I click the next button, it's going to take us down to here, which is the first document we added to this. And it's saying here header section 2. So what's going on here is that your headers and footers are separated into sections. And each new document you've created has a new section. So the cover page and table of contents are considered section 1, characters document section 2, books and songs section 3, et cetera, et cetera. And what this means is that you can give each section its own header. And you can also have, what we're going to do is going to be at the footer is the same on every single page. So let's take a look at that. We're going to start in the header for section 1. Yeah, we're going to go up right here. Oops. I want you to notice here that the different first page box is checked off. This is because that cover page obviously would not have a header. So they did that automatically because they saw we put a cover page in. So we're going to start here. We're just going to put in the start here with our first header for section 1. So we're going to put in that name, and then we're going to put in a page number. I'm not going to use this page number thing because it tends to delete anything else you put in the header when you use it. So I'm going here to quick parts, to field, and finally down here to page. And I'm going to use Roman numerals for this first section. Okay, so now that's page I, first page. As you scroll down, we're going to go down till we get to the next. So you see here, page 2, page 3. It's a very long table of contents. Page 4, page 5, 6. Like I said, it's a very long table of contents. 7, 8. Okay, so we're now at the end of the first section, and we're now in section 2 for our header. And we want this section 2 to have characters as the header, and we want to switch the page numbers over so that they're, they're regular numbers, not the Roman numerals anymore. And to do this, the first thing we have to do is I'm now in the header for section 2. And you notice down here it says same as previous. So that means it's taking the same header it's using the same header as the previous section had. We need to break that link before we do anything else for the rest of this document. So I'm going to take out where it says link to previous. I'm going to click here to turn this off so that section header 2 is now its own thing. I also don't want the header to appear on the first page of section 2. So I'm going to click off different first page, and that's deleted. I'm going to then scroll down to the second page of chapter 2. And we're going to change this here. We're going to say this one is characters. And we're going to change our page number. So we can change our number format to normal digits. And here we have page numbering. We're just going to say instead of continuing from the previous section, which would just be a cumulative, we're going to start it at page 2. 1. Oh, that didn't carry over. Why didn't that work? You know what? I'm going to delete this and do it again. Page 3. Why is it saying 3? Should be 2 if anything. Oh, okay. I got it. All right. We're going to say start at 1. And so that's going to be counting. This is page 1 where the header starts, and this is page 2 where this section is. Okay, so we got section 2 set. Let's go on to section 3. So now we're in the books and songs. So we're going to go into this header, get rid of the link, and just change this to books and songs. Oops, actually first, let's do different first page because I don't want the header there. I'm going to go down to the second page. That'll be books and songs. And next. Items. Again, different first page. Okay, I think that did them all. Let's just go through, make sure. Oops, this one was a mistake. Hold on, let's fix this. You gotta really, if you're doing something like this, you really have to make sure you break that link every time you change your header. I think I did this one right. Okay, yeah, so we're good. So now we have every section has its own header. But let's say we wanted to have a footer. That's on pretty much every page, except for maybe that first section. So I'm going to go down here to the footer. I'm going to take this, break that link to the previous one. And then we're going to put in our footer. And the footer is just going to be two automatically generating pieces of text. One is going to be the file path for it. So I can find that. File name, that's what I want. All right, so we're going to put the file name, document 2, because I haven't saved this yet. And I'm also going to put in the date it was created. And you'll see here, there's a little button here that says update automatically. So what this means is every time you open up the document, the date will change and it'll update itself automatically. I'm actually going to turn that off. And it'll just be today's date, regardless of when this is opened. And I want to do that so that people know when the last time this was used, that it was used for, like this was the date that these changes were made. And I haven't actually saved this document, so I'm going to save it now. Call this codex. Save. And if I update this, see, it's now giving me this whole piece of information here. It's telling me where it's saved and what the file name is. So this is information that could be very useful if you're trying to find the document on your computer. Okay, so any questions on headers and footers? Okay, so last thing we're going to talk about here is generating an index. And we're not going to I'm not going to do a too elaborate one. Index, much like when you were setting up outline levels and characters and headers, you would probably want to do this as you're working on it, and you would have to have like a set of terms that you want to be in the index and those kind of things. But I'm going to go quickly through and just show you how you can mark stuff to be generated automatically for an index. So we're going to be working with the character names because I think that's the easiest one to do. So we're going to start with this one. And we're going to say, okay, so I have this and I want to mark this to go into an index. I'm going to go over here to the reference tab. And here's the index section, and this would be mark entry. This is where you would mark where you want this to be. So I'm going to mark the entry, and I can put some extra information in there. So I can even add cross references if I want to. And I can choose down here, I can mark or I can mark all. So if I just mark, I'm going to mark just this one entry. But if I say mark all, it'll mark all of the entries in this. I'm going to say mark all. So this does Alistair for the entire document. Now you're seeing a bunch of stuff coming up. This is just editing marks. Don't worry about them. They won't be visible in the document under normal circumstances. It's just there while we're working on the indexing. So I'm going to close that, scroll down a bit. I'm going to do the same thing for Honora. Let's do Kaylin. And you have to, there's a bit of an art to indexing, and you have to know, like, you know, when a person's name shows up or something like that. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. So I've just marked a few of these entries, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of our document. Now we have some endnotes here, just so those were created in one document. And now we're going to, I'm actually going to create the index here. I'm going to get rid of this. This is the previous index part I created. So you can see here, you can see the section breaks that are in there, because it's giving a section break for where the index would go. And I'm just going to say insert index. There's some, you know, you can make some formatting changes here. I'm going to leave this as it is. And then I'm just going to say OK. Say yes. So you see here what happened is it went through the document and it flagged the different areas where these names are showing up. So even outside of pages we were on, it's still showing up in some of them. And this was another thing I flagged at one point. So yeah, so you can do an index then for a number of different documents all in one place. You can do a table of contents as well. So there's a lot of different things that this can do for you. And if you're ever working with a really big document, exploring how to use a master document, things like that can make it much more manageable task and not a huge big thing you have to work on all the time. Okay, so that's about it. Does you have any questions on this? Meeting controls are like not showing up. There we go. Okay, so any final questions? Okay, like I said, this is not the most common stuff you're going to use in Word, but it can be very useful under specific circumstances to help you work on certain things. So, okay, Maria, you got a question?
If you have time, do you mind if you can just show about the footnoting?
Footnoting?
Yes.
Okay, I do have some footnotes in this document. Which one did I do it in? Let's just scroll up to here. I'm actually going to let me get rid of or editing marks, because they're kind of distracting. I'm going to go to the song section. All right. So actually here, I do have a footnote here. I put in here. And so it's saying right there, it's number 1. And it's showing you there. If I scroll down, I wonder where it went. Interesting. It sort of disappeared. Okay, well, let's try doing a different one. So typically, if you're going to insert a footnote, you start where you want your footnote to go. I'm going to use this text as the footnote. Okay, so you want to put the footnote there. You go to the References tab, and you go to Insert Footnote. And then you would add the text you want for that footnote. That's pretty much what there is to footnotes. If you then, like, say, rearrange them, and I'm going to take this. Let's say we want to add another footnote here, which is above the one we just did. I don't know why it's coming out like that. Let's see, show notes. Okay, so yeah, that's the basic. The basic thing is you would click Oh, these are endnotes, not footnotes. That's what's confusing me. Okay, yes, these are endnotes, not footnotes. So footnotes, that's how you do that, where you put it there and it pops up at the bottom of the page.
Uh-huh.
The endnotes go back to the very end of the document, go all the way here. Keep going. I was looking at that, like thinking that looks like a footnote. I didn't think I put any there, and it was actually, I was experimenting with the end notes. So these are the end notes for the document. So you notice they're marked with the Roman numerals,
Yeah.
and the footnotes were marked with the regular digit numerals. But yeah, that's footnotes. Basically, what there is to them is you just click where you want them to go and just put insert footnote, and then if you move things around, it'll also move the footnotes around. So they'll always stay on the same page as where they're cited.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the same, something similar is going on if you want to add an end note like that. So if I wanted to add end notes, I can go there, go to insert end note, and then it'll take me to the end. You know, one thing about end notes is that they don't take you back to the, or you can't go automatically back to where you put it, which is kind of annoying. You have to either scroll back or do something else. Oh, and actually there is one more thing I think I'm going to show you that does make moving through a document easier. So you can have, let me see, remember where this is, the navigation pane. So if you check off this box here in the View tab, this gives you a navigation pane, and it's showing you all those headings that are also in your document. So you can just jump to whichever one you want to go to, going through this. You can also go see the pages here, and you can even do searches. So if you can't find the text so if you don't remember what you were looking at, or you're looking for something specific, you can do a search. Let's say I'll do search tomorrow, and it's showing you all the pages that term appears on over here, and you can just jump to any one of them.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you for coming. And hopefully we'll see you. I don't know if we're doing, I just sent out the newsletter today. We're going to be doing some basic Excel, and then I'm going to be doing an using Excel to create an address book next month. So if you're interested in that, please come. Otherwise, have a good day.
Thank you.
Welcome.